Okay, so there's one slide on here that's not going to work properly, and I apologize in advance for that. But like Nadia said, my name's Andres. You can call me Andy. And this summer I worked with reachout.com, and thankfully the director's here today. Her name is Nicola.
Hi.
So if you have any questions and I can't answer them, hopefully she can help. I'm sure she can. So my research topic was engaging diverse youth populations with mental health rhetoric via social media and anonymous forums. So first I'm going to tell you a little bit about Reach Out. So Reach Out was designed as a safe place for teens and young adults to improve their understanding of mental health issues, develop resilience, and build coping skills, and also promote help-seeking behavior. Reachout.com is completely online, and it has a number of resources including anonymous forums, blogs, stories, and fact sheets. And the really, really cool thing about reachout.com is that all of these blogs, stories, fact sheets, and forums are completely youth-run, youth-produced material with the help of some professional staff to make sure that anything is not triggering and that it's done correctly or like in a safe way. Reachout.com also uses a number of social media to reach youth and teens. Throughout the presentation, you'll see on the slides different types of social media platforms, and they're all ones that Reach Out uses. And they include MeetMe, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and YouTube. So they've really gone a long way, and they're really doing a great job of keeping up with what teens and youth are using to connect with each other and to connect with different articles and different videos and such that are important to them. Like I said, they involve youth in all of their ideas and all their resources that they produce, but they also involve youth in ideas for events and campaigns, and a lot of youth volunteers put on their own events and outreach programs within their own regions and within their own school settings and all of that kind of stuff. And their message is one that says, "You are not alone. Young people just like you have made it through tough times just like yours, and they now live happier lives." So it's definitely a message of hope and encouragement that's given to youth across the nation. So why Reach Out? Why did I pick Reach Out to do this project with? Like I said, Reach Out does a great job of meeting young people where they are. So they meet them on Facebook, they meet them online, and that's where young people really spend most of their time nowadays, whether it's on their phone, their laptops, their iPads, other tablets, etc. Youth are really at the center of their model, so everything they do and all of their ideas and everything comes with the thought of youth first. And we really want to, they really want, it's awkward because I still kind of work for them. They really want to make sure that youth are at the forefront of everything we produce. There's also this notion of peer-to-peer support, where sometimes mental health and wellness is a difficult thing to talk about with someone who's professional, someone who has a label attached to them like psychologist, psychiatrist, therapist, counselor, etc. And being able to talk to a peer is something that's a little less nerve-wracking. You know that they've been there too, you know that they've had similar experiences, whether it's in school, in family, in relationships, etc. You know that they're in the same space that you are. Reach Out really focuses on giving information and support and not counseling. So a lot of these peers, they do all receive training to be on the forums and to provide support, but they're warned not to counsel others. They're not giving advice, they're not telling people what to do, they're really just giving support and information and connecting youth with other resources on the website and in some cases off the website if there's a crisis situation. And like I said, they really have a message of hope that really resonated with me when I was looking for organizations to work with over the summer. So now the questions, these are the questions that I used during my research project that I went in with. How do these groups being youth populations of different race and ethnicities, different gender identities, different sexual orientations, how do these groups interact with reachout.com? How are these positive interactions? And how can we further improve the quality of these interactions? These are things that I was really hoping to learn and explore during my time with them. So first, what are diverse populations? I feel really weird saying that because it could mean really anything. So the purposes of my paper and my research were focusing specifically on race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, and gender identity. So how do we do this? How did I go about getting this research? I primarily used surveys asking youth to self-identify according only to age, race, and ethnicity. I didn't ask them to self-identify their sexual orientation or their gender identity for personal disclosure reasons, for privacy reasons, for safety reasons, etc. So they had the choice to self-identify or to not put anything. And I really encourage that they put race and ethnicity in their own terms, whatever that means to them, because a lot of people have different definitions for race and ethnicity, especially in the adolescent group. They're not really sure how to identify themselves and what's correct. So I really wanted them to be able to express their own race and ethnicity in their own words, however that was. I wanted them to talk about the length and type of relationship they had with Reach Out, so I got a sense of how often they were using Reach Out resources, how they were using them, and all of that kind of stuff. I asked them for general feedback on the site and forum, so that was just so that we can get a sense of what can be improved, what we're doing well, what needs to be expanded upon, what gaps there are, or there might be. I asked them about the relevance of Reach Out with the experiences with their own identity. So this was really what I was really trying to get at with them, but of course I asked a bunch of other questions as well. So I asked about how Reach Out relates to their day-to-day life with their race and culture. I asked about how it relates to their gender identity, their sexual orientation, and how they found Reach Out helpful in exploring these parts of themselves and helping answer questions and provide support for other youth who come to the website as well. So who was I asking? I wasn't really sure going into it who I was going to be asking. I wasn't sure how many youth I'd be able to ask. I wasn't sure how I'd contact them originally. But after talking with my supervisor, Emily, who cannot be here today, we thought that the best way to approach this would be to ask the peer supporters. And so the peer supporters are trained youth volunteers who work on the forums, and they provide support for all responses that come, all posts that come in. They create a safe environment, and they really try to make sure that each response receives a number of responses from peer supporters giving support, emotion, and they really try to moderate and make sure that the forum stays a safe place. Of course, all posts are pre-moderated by professionals to make sure that nothing comes through that's too triggering or anything like that, or if that there's a crisis situation, that all peer supporters know that those particular posts have already been referred out and that they don't have to respond particularly to that crisis situation. In that case, it's just more providing support and making, and I guess, following up in a sense. So the advantages of using peer supporters is that they have frequent engagement with forums and the website. The peer supporters work about 4+ hours a week, sometimes more, sometimes less. And they basically, so they'll know the ins and outs of the website really well. They'll know what kinds of posts come up a lot. They'll know what the most frequent questions are. And they'll know what resources are there, what resources aren't there. They'll know how to find them. They'll know what resources get the most positive feedback and all that kind of stuff. The peer supporters obviously have a commitment to Reach Out and its mission. So they volunteer to do this, they want to spend their time doing this, so they really care about what Reach Out is doing and how they're doing it. Like I said, they have familiarity with issues that come up often, and they're accessible and accountable. So the Reach Out volunteers are reachable in many different ways. We have a Facebook group for each cohort of peer supporters. They're divvied up by region as well, so that volunteers who are near each other can communicate with each other and make programs together. They have monthly / bi-weekly Google Hangouts with each other so that they can really get to know each other and really get to talk to each other and talk with the staff frequently. So there's definitely easy access to them in a lot of ways to connect with them. Okay, so this was the slide that I said was not going to work properly. So originally these were all supposed to pop up at different times, but since I'm not in slideshow, it's not going to do that. But basically these were just a bunch of different quotes that came out of the surveys, and they're all not mine. I just did them as mine so I wouldn't violate anyone's privacy or anything. But these are all actual quotes that just came from the responses, so varying from what should be added, what they were doing great. So you can see things like, I think they should include threads talking about the experience of bi or multiracial people. Reach Out is reducing stigma, more facts on culture and racial tension. Reach Out needs to become a household name, etc., etc. So what do users like? Users really liked the fact sheets. They said that they're used most often, they're referred most often, and it really gives them a chance to empathize with what people are going through. because there are fact sheets ranging from things about grief, depression, anxiety, to sexual abuse and suicide ideation. So people who haven't experienced these things can go over these resources and get a sense of what their friends, what other peers are going through. It also allows them to feel supported because they feel like there are other people out there going through the same thing. There are other people who can share their experiences. They really like the forums. They like the anonymity. They like that they have access 24/7 to these resources. They like how much they've seen the forums grow over time. There's one peer supporter who's been there since the beginning of the forums, and he said that just seeing it grow from just being peer supporters in the forums to like, I don't know how many people.
11,000.
11,000 people in the forums now. It's just been really inspiring for him and really gives him a lot of hope for the future. And the forums give him and other users a safe space to self-identify and really share their story however they want to share it. What more do they want? So they want more fact sheets. They had a lot of suggestions for things that they could add, ranging from, I think they wanted a lot more on sexual abuse, a lot more on religion and other things like that. Those are like really well used, really popular. They wanted, these are the peer supporters, of course. They wanted a news feed of some sort so that they could see what posts are coming up new and that they could respond to them more quickly. And they wanted a live chat so that they would be able to communicate with other peers one-on-one through the forums. So with those two, the news feed and the live chat, they did recognize the limitations and the dangers that could arise from that, such as loss of anonymity. And if there's a live chat between a peer supporter and another person, they might feel burdened to take on that person's situation. They might feel like they have to solve that person's problem, and they might feel guilty if they cannot. On top of that, a live chat feature might make it so that users can interact with each other directly, which could be unsafe because it wouldn't be moderated. So they might get into an argument of some sort. One person might see a post that one person wrote up, and they might not understand where that person's coming from or something, and they might say something wrong to that person. They may say something hurtful. So while they did have some great suggestions, they did also, and I also recognize the limitations of these suggestions. They suggested connections to outside resources and groups. So in this, I think they were looking more for groups that users might be interested in joining, where they might find support, where they might find another community. For now, Reach Out is really focusing on making itself a name so that it can be used by more people more broadly. So right now we're focusing more on internal referring and resource guiding. And they wanted to feature posts that aren't being responded to enough. Right now how that's handled is, like I mentioned, all the peer supporters are in Facebook groups. So if there's a post that someone doesn't know how to respond to and they've seen it, or if there's a post that a moderator notices isn't getting quite enough love, they'll post links to that post in the Facebook group, and they'll be like, hey, can someone get to this? Or hey, I don't know how to respond to this. Or hey, I wrote something, but I don't think it's enough. And they can really communicate with each other in that way. But this was just something else that they wanted to see. So how about race and ethnicity? Like this project was supposed to be about. So they felt for the most part that the website was relevant to their daily life. And I think one thing that I saw with this was just keeping in mind that not everyone is a CSRE major, not everyone is thinking about these things in the same way. And also that not everyone coming to this website is thinking about their race and their culture as their primary issue. A lot of times they're just coming because they have a mental health and wellness issue, and that's at the forefront of their minds. Bless you. There were a number of suggestions for what could be included. They asked that more identities be recognized. So in particular, they mentioned that religion was not on there that much, and I didn't look into it myself either, but a number of people brought that up as they're not being really a safe space to talk about religion. They suggested making spaces for these identities to be discussed. So like I said, they talked a lot about the experiences of multiracial or biracial people. So they thought about things like making forum threads or making a separate part of the website specifically for these identities. They also talked about the immigrant experience and what immigrant culture is like here in the US, and wanting to make a space for that as well. A number of users who were particularly Hispanic or Latino asked that there be a specific thread or something for that culture as well. Specifically, one user mentioned talking about the machismo culture and how men treat women and how there's a lot of gender roles and stereotypes in that culture. So they really wanted to see a place to talk about that and express that that's not okay. Like I said, they suggested more fact sheets, blog posts, and stories. So they really, I think with this, they really just want to see their own identities reflected in the website, and that will create a safer space for them to feel like they can talk about these things. I think they really want that highlighted more, and just hearing it from a youth perspective would be really powerful. Some ideas were the inclusions of pictures and videos. So pictures portraying, I guess, diverse people who look like them. Videos coming from people who also, once again, look like them and can talk to their experiences would make it a safer space for them to be able to talk about race and ethnicity more. Like I said, they asked that the religion section be expanded. They also asked that the LGBT section be expanded. But they do recognize that there is work in the process to make more LGBT content. In fact, I just got an email the other day about LGBT content developers for the website and how that is gonna be coming up really soon. They also, for the most part, felt like the LGBT questions were answered. There were some that they did not feel like were being answered. One that I remember off the top of my head was just questions around gay sex and things like this, and how there were fact sheets and such for straight heterosexual sex, but there weren't really any for gay sex, and how to maneuver that. You can come on, it's okay. I'll pause for water. All right, so how is Reach Out doing? So overall, there was just stellar reports for how Reach Out was doing. They said it was helpful both personally and in the community for them just to learn and to create a more safe space for other people. So they said that it leads to more sharing. They feel more comfortable sharing their stories, and they feel like that leads to more people feeling more comfortable sharing their own stories. They said that it increases their literacy and awareness around mental health issues, both for themselves, and then they bring that to other people in their communities, in their schools and such. And that's aided by reducing stigma around these issues, which is a really big issue, both in the entire youth population and a lot of times specifically in youth of color populations, that there's a lot of stigma around talking about these issues. These things aren't things that are talked about. So they said that it's doing a great job of reducing the stigma there. The forums in particular bring together people with different stories, different perspectives, and that really helps them get a sense of how many different people are out there, give them different opinions, and really reshapes how they're thinking. And overall, it's a comfortable and safe space for youth. Moving forward, so these are some of my own suggestions that were based on some of their suggestions. So fact sheets around day-to-day life experiences. So a lot of times there are a lot of microaggressions or like day-to-day experiences that people of color or people who are LGBT face, or people who might identify based on their gender experience. And so I think that more fact sheets around those experiences, or whether it's fact sheets or stories or blogs, whatever it is, just about those little things, so people feel more comfortable talking about them, people feel more comfortable expressing them to other people. Keeping up with youth-related pop culture and current events. So I put youth-related in parentheses because there's a lot of pop culture and current events that aren't necessarily youth-related, but that youth talk about and that do affect them. So I think having a space where these can be discussed and these can be addressed would be really important. For instance, on the pop culture side, Cory Monteith passed away this summer, and the Glee episode addressing that was actually just last night, and I could not stop crying. But more importantly, I wrote a blog post on it over the summer, and it really, and then we had a forum thread about it, and I think that really helped the people who read it, and I ended up sharing it on Facebook, and a number of people were helped by it, or reached out to me about it. It's actually going to be on a syllabus in some college somewhere for an intro to composition class, which is really cool. And in terms of current events, when I got there, I think it was July, was Minority Mental Health and Wellness Month. And it was a bit difficult to get conversations started around this. But during that time, the Trayvon Martin case was decided. And when we started posting about that, we started to get more posts about race and ethnicity and how youth are thinking about these things. So those are just two examples of how we can use current events and pop culture to create more conversation around this. A lot of it has to do with expansion on already existing resources, such as the fact sheets, the blogs, etc. Continue focusing on recruiting diverse volunteers. So like I said, Reach Out has a number of youth volunteers and peer supporters, and I got to see how diverse they really are and how much that really helps. A number of peer supporters said that just having different LGBT peer supporters really helped share with other peer supporters and helped respond to users' posts more readily. Continue the awesome work. Basically, they're doing a lot of really great work. Just keep it up. And like I said before, mirror the experiences that youth are having. So reflections and lessons. These are, I will wrap up really quickly. So it's important to craft surveys carefully. I learned that research, this type of research is not specifically for me, but there are other ways to move forward. I think I'm more comfortable talking to people directly, and I would feel more comfortable with interviews and something like that, if anything. I had a lot of awesome experiences. I went on a retreat with all the peer supporters, and there was a lot of cool stuff that happened there. I think that one-on-one is really important. For instance, I had another peer supporter come out to me as bisexual during that time, and I was one of the first people he told. So that really highlights the importance of both one-on-one experience and also having a diverse population with you. I spoke at a conference over the summer about adolescent mental health. I wrote a blog, like I said. I learned that there are a lot of other people interested in this topic, which is something that I did not know going in, and I sometimes feel very frustrated working in this field, but it's very rejuvenating and refreshing to see that there are other people who want to talk about these things. I learned that social media is an extremely powerful tool, and that support, openness, and reaching out are important for a work environment, because the staff there was very open, very supportive, really, really awesome, and it really made my experience way better. And that's it.
Does anybody have any questions?
Do you have any plans of doing something at Stanford for more, I guess, more community health issues, especially with people of color? Because I know at UCLA, the students create their own kind of mental health and wellness within the students of color. And do you have any plans of doing it here at Stanford, where it's much needed?
That's difficult. I think I do a lot of work around mental health and wellness on campus, whether it's through being an RA or a bridge counselor and that kind of stuff. I'm writing my senior paper as an expansion on this, and I think I'm going to talk to the bridge counselors and the fees a lot just to get their perspective and see what can be helped on campus.
And also, just from my personal experience with CAPS and how they're very not culturally sensitive, I think that would be really great if you could talk to them as a student, and I've been trying to talk to them. I just think it'd be good for at least the bridge peer counselors and you as from your research as well to show that we need more support as students.
We should definitely talk because then we can go together.
Yeah.
Two is better than one.
I was a social worker. I know. Okay.
Also, your otter's really cute.
His name is Andres Bonifacio. He's named after revolutionary.
All right. Well, thank you, Andres.